All right. Well, I've got 10 o'clock here. Good morning, everybody. This is Tony Frazee, Benefit Specialist here with Art Jetter. Happy to have you here. Today, we're really excited to have Mr. Kemp Cole here from Manhattan Life reviewing their affordable choice plan. So it should be a great session all the way around. Before I turn this over to Kemp here, just a quick reminder for everybody. We want to make sure to answer all your questions today, so feel free to type those in the chat or question box. We'll make sure and address those here before the end of today's session. And then with that, Kemp, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you, sir.
Great. Thanks, Tony, and appreciate getting to be with you guys there. Jetter is a trusted partner of Manhattan and has been for a long time, and we really value the partnership, so thanks for the opportunity to speak to the agents here. Today, we're going to talk about the affordable choice. Manhattan's had this policy on the book quite a while. Manhattan Life, you see the Statue of Liberty there. Obviously, it started in Manhattan, New York. Since that time, since 1850 when they started, they have moved to Houston, Texas, is where all the administration's done. And but anyway, we still keep a token office there in Manhattan. And anyway, they 174 years we've been around, so obviously they're doing some things right. They're a privately held company, and that's one of the big reasons I like working with them. A privately held company, excuse me, allergies are kicked up here in Oklahoma. Privately held company makes decisions based on their client, which their client is the policyholder and the agent. And so that's in your best interest. Publicly traded company, they're making decisions based on shareholder value. So I think you come out ahead on a privately held company for sure. So that's a little background on Manhattan. And this is me, Kemp Cole, Regional Vice President. Standard Life and Casualty is a subsidiary of Manhattan. Everything we do refer to Manhattan. But Standard's where I started out at. It's my contact information. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. The team at Jetter is really good about keeping you guys in the forefront, answering the questions. But if you run across something and you need me, feel free to reach out. So the affordable choice we're talking about here is it's kind of an alternative to the ACA. It's for people who don't get any subsidies. They don't want to pay $1,200 a month for a $7,000 deductible. They're just not going to do it or can't do it. It might be for that 60-year-old person that just puts blinders on and said, I'm just going to wait till I get on Medicare. I'm going to go without. Don't do that. That's terrible. The premiums here are going to be about a third of what the ACA is. It's not an ACA plan. It's just an alternative hospital and surgical policy. And the other person that you might look at is somebody that's in between jobs, a kid coming off the parent's policy. They need something to fill that gap there. But the biggest slice of this policy that I see the demographic working in are those self-employed people that make too much money to get a subsidy. That's where I see the real niche is there. So let's dive into the affordable choice. You've got 4 plan designs. The Elite Plus is the best. The Elite, Classic Plus, and Classic. I see the Classic, a lot of people will use it to supplement the ACA or a major medical because we don't have any deductibles on this that starts paying right off the bat in or out of the hospital. The underwriting simplified, they really lay it out what you can write and what you can't write. So it's your agent guide pretty well tells you what you cannot write. And so that agent guide should be one of your best friends. And then we do have telemedicine included with this. COVID made this a prevalent product to use. A lot of people are comfortable with it. You don't have to sit in a sick doctor's office with a lot of other people. You can actually call in and do it. It's a zero copay, unlimited visits. So it's a nice option to have there. So with that, let's just dive right into the benefits. This comes straight out of the brochure. I kind of cut it in half and got it to fit. Hopefully you can read it. And if you can't read it, the brochure, this is exactly where it came from, so you could look at it. One point I want to make that the brochure doesn't talk about is observation care is covered. It pays 50% of their daily benefit that they have, and there's getting to be a lot more observation care stays that we're seeing. That's where you go to the hospital, you're in a hospital bed, you feel like you're in the hospital, but technically they never admitted you. And a lot of people are getting held hostage with that bill. We're one of the few companies that cover that. So that's important. And if this is going to be their main insurance, I would recommend that they do the Elite Plus or the Elite to try to cover those hospital and surgery bills that they've got. And kind of like I said, the Classic is, if that's all they can afford, it's better than nothing, but it's also a good supplement to other coverage. Premiums are pretty inexpensive. So it's an indemnity policy. And indemnity means it pays regardless of any other insurance. We don't coordinate benefits with anybody. There's no deductibles. It just pays what it says it's going to pay, nothing more, nothing less. And so being an indemnity is a strong point. And let's just stick with the Elite Plus benefits, but you can read what the other ones would play there. So if you go to the hospital and you get in there, we're going to pay $6,000 a day for any sickness or accident. And then if you get admitted into the hospital, it's going to pay $3,000 for an admission benefit plus the $6,000. So that first day, you would have $9,000 worth of benefits. And then if you see here, building benefit injury reimbursement, what that is just, it's a bonus to the policyholder. If the longer they keep the policy, that $6,000 will increase 25% a year. Up to the 5th year, it'll double, and that's for injury. So if they have an injury, that benefit increases for 5 years. For sickness, it stays at the $6,000 a day, and we'll always pay that. So skip down here to the surgery benefit. It pays based on the Medicare physician fee schedule. And so if you had the Elite Plus, it'll pay 3 times whatever Medicare would approve and pay, which is really good. As most of us know, the Medicare fees, what they pay is usually not adequate. But if they're on a Medicare supplement, they're kind of forced into taking it. On the Elite Plus, it's 3 times, and on the Elite, it's 2.5 times whatever Medicare approves. And so those are more than adequate. If you get money ahead, in other words, let's just use an example here. Let's say you had a gallbladder procedure, and for that surgeon, Medicare is going to approve $800 for him to do that procedure. On the Elite Plus, it would pay $2,400 for that surgeon to do that procedure, whether it's in or out of the hospital, doesn't make any difference. So $2,400, but let's say the total bill was $2,000. We would pay the doctor the $2,000 if you assigned your benefits to him, and then we would pay the client the extra $400. They're going to pay the full fee regardless of what the bill is. So I hope that example makes sense. So in or out of the hospital, that could be a colonoscopy, it could be stitches in the doctor's office, setting a broken arm. Those are all surgical procedures. And then if you go to the urgent care, it pays $300 4 times a year, plus the surgery benefit if they stitch something up or set a broke bone or whatever. So just making the point, I keep saying it, everything pays in addition to each other. If you have outpatient surgery, you're not admitted into the hospital, you would have the ambulatory surgical benefit, and that's for an outpatient surgery center. It could be the outpatient of the hospital. They would pay $3,000 for the facility to take care of you, plus your surgery benefit. And then down here you have your assistant surgeon, which on outpatient surgery I doubt you'd have, but anyway, it would pay 20% of whatever the surgeon charged. The anesthesiologist is 25% of whatever the surgeon charges. So if it was a $2,000 surgery bill, the anesthesiologist would get $500. So that's how your inpatient hospital and surgery benefits work. Let's look at doctor office visits. It'll cover $200 a trip, 10 times a year. And that's for any kind of doctor. It could be a chiropractor, DO, MD, dermatologist. It pays $200 a visit 10 times a year. If you don't use all 10 of those days in that year, you can roll over up to 5 to the next policy year. So if you only use 5 this year, you could roll 5 over to next year, so you'd have 15 days where you would have coverage. So that's really strong. You know, if you've got the elite, it's 175 for 10 days. So that's those are pretty good amounts there. On the prescription benefit, $75, and that covers up to $750 a year, and it's $75 a day. So if they have 2 prescriptions, if they wanted both of them covered, they'd fill one on Monday and one on Tuesday to have both of them covered. If they're taking a lot of medication, this policy isn't going to help them a lot. So you just have to evaluate what's best for your customer. We go over here to the right-hand side, and it talks about x-rays, lab, therapy, you know, those type of items. I don't need to read each one of those to you. You can see it. And but it'll cover on the Elite Plus, it'll cover up to $8,000 a year for outpatient benefits. So you can tell up to this point, you haven't seen the rates yet, but it's a good value, but they are trying to cover your medical bills for you. And then there's also some additional ways that they can help save you money, and I'll come to that in a couple of slides. Your ambulance is covered, you got coverage there. Cancer treatments, if they're taking outpatient radiation or chemotherapy, it's $2,000 a treatment, 40 times a year, and then it'll cover $1 million in a year, or it's a $5 million lifetime. And as Tony said, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat box. They can try to cover them, or at the end of the presentation, I'll pause and we'll have a Q&A session, and hopefully I can answer all your questions there. Let's take another look at that surgery schedule, how that works. So in the policy, they'll actually have 3 pages of procedures and what Medicare approves for that procedure. And anyway, they can't list them all. It would be bigger than a Bible, but you can go on the internet and look them up. But anyway, here it just shows, like, if you had a neck fusion, Medicare is going to approve $1,316. If you have the Elite Plus, it's going to pay 3 times that amount. And then you've got your assistant surgeon and an anesthesia. Here's what I was talking about a minute ago. The policy also helps you with your other expenses that you incur. If you have to go in and get a CAT scan or an MRI, PET scan, if you'll call these people ahead of time and let them set the appointment up for you, I've had feedback on it that most people save at least 50% on what the cost of that was going to be. So it's nothing that you have to use. It's a feature that if you want to use it, it'll save you a lot of money. The key is you just need to get hold of Green Imaging before you go have the procedure done and let them set up the appointment. Direct Labs works the same way. If you're going to have a whole bunch of lab work done, if you'll contact them ahead of time, they can set up the lab work for you, and it'll save you a significant amount of money there. So the key is contact them ahead of time. Telehealth, I've already kind of mentioned that. These people, you can do an office visit with them, for like me right now with allergies, that would be the best way for that. But they also cover behavioral health, which is mental health. And anyway, there's a lot of benefits here that you can take advantage of and do it on your time, not somebody else's. So it's 24/7 with no copay for the telehealth. You're also enrolled in the First Health Network. And what that is that's hospital and doctors. It's one of the largest repricing networks in the nation. And you don't have to contact them ahead of time. If you have a policy with Manhattan, they will plug this in for you. I just had a lady that had a $41,000 gallbladder surgery, which if that's not ridiculous, I don't know what is. But anyway, it was outpatient to boot. Anyway, the bottom line is First Health Network came in and repriced everything. And with our benefits that we paid, she had the elite plan. She ended up owing $632 was her total out-of-pocket expense on that $41,000 bill after it got repriced. So anyway, this is these networks can really save your client a lot of money. If you wanted to look at the network to see what doctors are in the network, you're more than welcome to do that. And they've got just go to that link, and it's in the brochure, and you can find the doctors that participate with them. They also have a discount prescription card that's available, and I've had people save good money on that. And then we have Health Advocate, which this is a really needed benefit, especially if you have something major happen to you. I just had my dad use this recently. He had a sarcoma on his eye, and we didn't know what to do. Sarcoma, what I know it's cancer, but that's about all I know. Anyway, we were prepared to go wherever could give him the best care, the best outcome for that procedure. We called them. They set up a second opinion. They said you should never do anything based on the one doctor. So they helped us with that. And then they also researched what doctors and what hospitals have the best outcome for this exact specific kind of cancer. And it happened to be in Oklahoma City, where we're not far from. And that was lucky, but we were prepared to go to Houston, Cleveland, New York, wherever that place would have been, that they can research that kind of thing and tell you what doctors and what hospitals have the best outcomes. They will also help you negotiate bills. If they end up having money left over that they owe, they will come in and help negotiate those rates down. It's really a needed benefit that I see. When you need it, it's priceless. So, and it's Advocate, which just what the word says, they're going to advocate for you. Next, I took a screenshot of the application just to kind of give you an idea of the health questions here. The questions are easy to answer. Our EAP process is extremely easy. If we have time today, I leave that up to Tony. I could take you all walk through that, the agent portal and the EAP. So anyway, we'll see at the end how we're doing. And then anyway, I don't need to read all these to you. Just wanted you to take a look at, they make it pretty reasonable. On here, I just made the note, if they're taking high blood pressure medication, it'd be nice if you put their high blood pressure reading, whatever their most recent reading was, just list that down there. That just shows that you're really paying attention, that you're really trying to get all the correct information there. They do a prescription check on every application, so you want to make sure that your prescriptions match up. with what they're going to get when they do a check. Some more questions here. You see down there on question number 8, I would highlight where it says, anywhere it says like within the last 5 years. If it's within the last 12 months, last 24 months. So if it's been 5 years and 1 day ago, you can check no. But if it's been 5 years or less, you would have to check yes to any of these conditions. And basically, these are all knockouts. All the conditions that you see here, if they've been treated for any of these in the last 5 years, they're not going to be qualified. And again, that agent guide lays all this out for you to where you would know ahead of time what it's going to be. Let's look at the rates. So they break it up individual spouse, 1 adult and children, and then the individual and the whole family. So the family rates include up to 4 children. If you have a 5th child, there is a rate for the child there. You cannot do a child-only policy. They have to have an adult on there with them. But this child-only rate there at the bottom of each category, that's just telling you if you have a 5th child or a 6th child, that's how much you would add. Again, I'll give a shameless plug for the EAP. The EAP figures these rates for you. You don't have to mess with, what are the rates going to be and make sure I'm adding it up right. You could do multiple policies with one application. You could do the affordable choice, a dental, vision, hearing at the same time, and it would add up all the rates for you. The EAP, the policy gets issued quicker, the commissions are paid quicker, they can read your writing. There's just all kinds of reasons to do the EAP. We'll still take paper applications. We don't charge extra for that, but it just slows down the process quite a bit, and most everybody wants to get this as quick as they can. So I was letting you soak the rates up there. I think you've had time for that. The basic or classic, classic plus, elite and elite plus is what you would want to go with if this is going to be their main policy. Here we've got the height and weight chart. Like right here at 5'9", if they're 5'9" and 276 pounds, 275 is the max. If they're 276, they're not eligible. And so make sure that your client fits within that height and weight chart. Take a look at some other conditions that I see on a common basis. If you have any pending surgeries, they may not want to cover you until you've had the surgery, or if they did insure you, they'd probably put a rider on there for that surgery that you've got pending. High blood pressure, as long as it's under control, and they'll want to verify that, but as long as it's under control with medication, they're good with that. Pregnancy, if anybody in the family is pregnant, they cannot apply for this policy. And that would even be if the husband, his wife's pregnant, and what if he says, well, I don't want to insure her, I just want to insure me and the kids. They still cannot take an application on the affordable choice, because what happens is the wife has the baby's covered from moment of birth regardless of health. And so that's why we don't want to cover anybody until after they've had the pregnancy and they've had the well baby checkup. So I see that a few times. On cancer, if it's been within the last 5 years for internal cancer, they can't do it. If it's been 5 years and 1 month, they can apply and get accepted. These are just some little simple things that people tend to forget. If the prescriptions don't check out correct, they may do a PHI, which is a telephone interview. just to verify with the client that these are the medications they're taking. Last point there says there's a 12-month waiting period on pre-existing conditions. With any policy, I think it's super important to understand filing a claim. Manhattan wants to pay claims, and they provide 4 different ways you can file a claim. You can do it snail mail, fill out a claim form, send the claims in. You can do it by fax the claim in. You can upload it to Manhattan's website, you or the client can. And then the best way, is my opinion, is if you go to the Apple Store, the Google Store, download the Manhattan Life app, and then you register the app. You can take a picture of the claim and submit it that way. So they really want to pay, so that's why they give you several different ways that you can file that claim. We've kind of gone through this. If you've got a bill, they need the doctor's name, the CPT code. So I think that's pretty easy. Some of the key points on the affordable choice: rate stability. The rates are based on issue age, not attained age, which means the rates won't go up because you get older. You have that first day hospital admission benefit, which pays in addition to your daily room. That daily room doesn't ever change. The only exception to that, the longer you keep the policy, if you have an injury, it'll pay more per day. No deductibles, male, females are the same, and they don't figure tobacco in there. Let's take a look at the footprint of what they have. So these are where all the states that the affordable choice is approved in. I always encourage everybody, whatever state your client lives in, make sure you check that state to get the correct rates and the correct forms for that client. If you're doing the e-app, it figures it for you. Another shameless plug. And then David Harris is our president, CEO. Just the better it is for you, the better it is for us. We get that. And so that's it. That's the affordable choice that we've just talked about. And with that, Tony, I'll kind of open it up to you and see if there's any questions out there, or if we want to take a look at the agent portal or the e-app.
All right. Well, let's see. I've got do have a few questions here in the chat, and I think we already established the one. I mean, with the affordable choice plans, they do have family plans there. That was the one question we had. The other question I'm showing here, Kemp, though, says, is the $5 for the telehealth included in the monthly premium?
That's correct. Yeah, it's baked in there. You don't charge extra for it.
Okay. And then let's see. I mean, as far as anybody need any information out there, whether it be a brochure or the applications and that pursuant to your own individual states, so we can certainly get that to you. That's not a problem there. Let's see. Checking to see anybody having any other questions outside of that.
Surely I wasn't that good.
Yeah, let's think. And I think from the underwriting standpoint, it's pretty clear in the campaign. Most of those questions are pretty much, I mean, like pass fail. I mean, if you answered yes to any of those questions, for the most part, I mean, that can preclude you from coverage, I think, immediately. Is that right? Just wanted to clarify.
And and again, I referred to the agent guide several times. That should be your best friend, because it has a red flag prescription list. It has a list of uninsurable conditions. They're real specific with what they will and won't take.
Enough there. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions popping up here right now. So, I mean, probably going to do, maybe we can do another follow-up session for more in depth. I know also too, everybody here on the call right now, if there's any other additional information, be it materials, be it, illustrations and whatnot, certainly, can reach out anytime. We'll be happy to get those set up here for you. Outside of that, definitely wanted to thank you, Kemp, for today and for co-piloting today's session. Definitely very, very informative here. So just as a reminder for those of you that did attend today, we do record these sessions for training purposes. So we will have a copy of this. If you want to be copied on that, or again, needing materials, certainly give me a call here, 800-228-0008, and I'm at extension 1032. Outside of that, I'm still checking. I don't have any new questions here, Kemp, but
I might throw something else in there if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
I should have presented this during our walk through that, but two of the points that you need to know is the mother's maiden name is the signature for the client. So the client doesn't have to click on anything or respond to anything. You just put their mother's maiden name and that is their signature. So that makes the agent's job a whole lot easier. And then the second thing would be is we will take an I-10 number in lieu of a social security number. So a lot of the self-employed people that we deal with, they have I-10, individual tax identification, but they don't have a social. So those are two big points I wanted to throw in there.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, well, I think that's going to conclude everything for today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to either give us a call or email us over here at health@jetter.com. Other than that, again, I want to thank everybody here, and a special thank you to you, Kemp, for co-piloting today's session there. Everybody have a great day, all right?
All right, thank you.